everyone, it's Miss Barbara with our Village Kids art lesson. Tonight the supplies you're going to need are a pencil, scissors, glue, either a glue stick or a glue bottle. You're going to need something to color with, like crayons, markers, or colored pencils. You are going to need some white paper, maybe 1 or 2 sheets of just regular paper like you'd use in a printer. And you're going to need, from the bottom of your supply bag, those colored sheets that were in there. They're smaller squares. The colors may not match what you see here because all of the bags were different. And I think that's it. I'm not going to tell you what we're making. It'll be a surprise. I will tell you this much though, it's one of my favorite things. So let's get started. Okay, I'm all set with my supplies here. I'm going to be using a pen instead of a pencil. That's just so that you can see it. You don't need a pen. And what we're going to do is take our colored papers and just pick 2 of them. And I want you to tear out a big blob shape. Just a big blob shape. Make sure that it has no straight cut edges. So if I tore this out, it still has a straight cut edge. So I want to make sure I tear that off too. So I have just kind of a nice blob shape. And do one out of 2 different colors. So you have 2 blob shapes. And then we're going to glue those onto our white paper. And you can glue them anywhere. Just make sure you leave a little space between them. Don't put them too close together. So I got my glue on here, and I'm just going to stick that down, push down all my edges. If you're using glue from a glue bottle, always make sure to smear the glue around the edges with your finger, and don't put too much glue down because that glue gets really messy and oozes out all over the place. So I'm just going to stick them down. Doesn't matter what direction or where, just make sure there's some space around each one of them. Okay, and now we're going to take our pen, and what I want you to do is put a beak on it. Doesn't matter where, just put a beak on it, a bird beak, somewhere on your blob shape. Just put a beak on it. Then we're going to take, this is just a scrap from my tearing, and I'm going to cut out an eye. Just cut out a small circle or oval kind of shape. So it's really teeny tiny. And we're going to glue that down. This time we're going to be putting the glue on the colored side and not on the white side, because we want the white of the eyeball. And we're just going to put an eye where we think an eye should be in relation to our beak. If you want to cut 2 eyes at the same time, you can just fold the paper over so you're cutting through 2 layers, and that way you'll get 2 eyes the same size at the same time. It's just a little quicker. Just remember, this time we're putting the glue on the colored side of your paper. I should be doing this on my scrap paper instead of my hand. My hand's going to be all stuck together. Alright, so on this one, I think I'll put 2 eyes. You don't have to, you can just put 1 eye, but on this one I think I'm going to put 2 eyes just so you can see how that works. So we tore out the blob shapes, we glued them down, we put beaks on them, and then we added some little white circles for eyes. And now, remember what we learned about our eyes? We're going to decide which direction they're looking. Since his beak is facing down, I think I'm going to put the little pupil in his eye at the kind of towards the bottom of the eye circle, so he's looking down. And this one, I think I'm going to put it up at the top so that he's looking up. And then you need to add whatever else your bird needs. So I'm going to give this guy some little bird legs. Bird legs, if you ever look at them, they bend backwards like this. Like our knee bends forwards, their little bird legs bend backwards. Okay, and I think this one's going to have really long legs. His just something about his body made me think he should have really long legs. Okay, you can put tail feathers in or wing feathers. I think he's going to have a little spiky tail. And he's going to have kind of a droopy tail because that's where all my space is, so that seems like a good place to put his little droopy tail. All right, wasn't that fun? I love it, just putting a beak on it. And then, of course, you can color them and add any other features you want. I'm going to give my bird a yellow-green tail. And I think the other one should have a, what should we give him? How about a blue tail? I'm going to give him some yellow beaks. Of course, your wild and crazy birds can have whatever color beaks, tails, and legs you think would be best, because we're just making some imaginary birds by putting a beak on a blob. I got this idea to put a beak on it from an artist in Seattle, Washington, whose name is Carla Sondheim, and she does a week of free art classes online for kids every summer. And this was one of her lessons, and I just had so much fun doing it that I wanted to share it with you. If you're at all interested in her free art classes during the summer, let me know at my email address, or ask Miss Cindy to contact me, and I can get you that information. All right, so I have these two really fun birds that were just blob shapes that I put a beak on. And I'd like to show you some other ones that I've made that are kind of fun, doing the same thing. This one ended up that I'm looking at the back of him. I haven't colored this yet. I just tore a blob shape. I wasn't thinking birds. I was just tearing a blob. And I think it gives our birds some interesting body shapes and makes them kind of fun and colorful. And it doesn't matter, like I said, what the shape looks like. You just tear a blob and put a beak on it, and then add all the extra parts. I'd love to see what you create. I want to see your put a beak on it birds. And, oh, I have one more here. I love this little guy with looking up at the sky. Next week, we're going to be using our cereal box. So if you haven't finished off that cereal yet, you better hurry up. And we're going to make something fun with that. So see you next time. Bye-bye.